Josh Green here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Ben Shalom here in London. Finally on Joseph Parker against Joe Joyce. Excited for this one in a few weeks?
Yeah, really excited. Glad. Obviously, I was only involved for the past month, but it's been difficult. But it's good to get it over the line. I think it's a fight that the fighters wanted. It's a fight that the fans wanted, and we made it happen. And very happy for that, and thankful to all the parties involved.
Was it very much the fight that when you signed Joseph Parker that you had your eye on you wanted to make this fight?
Yeah, we made an offer straight away. So we made it under no illusion that we wanted this fight. It was a fight that Joseph Parker wanted. To be honest, it's a fight where he can actually gain something. He can actually, become number one and challenge for world titles. And he wants to become a second world champion. And therefore, this was always the fight that if we could get it done, we would. And thankfully, the Warrens have been, sensible. I think after I made that first offer, it sort of opened conversation up, and we saw eye to eye. And look, we don't want to be an old school promoter in the sense where we don't do fights with other promoters and we keep it all. There's a lot of competition, and it can either go one way or the other now. And the promoters need to, when the fights are there and when it means a lot, like this one does. The fights have to be made, and it made sense. And it's a one-fight deal on BT, but if there is a rematch, it'll be on Sky, and it opens it up for both stables and their channels. And we want good relationship with other promoters. We don't want to be in a position where we can't get fighters fights because we've, fallen out with this person or said this person. We're trying. Look, it's not always easy. There's other promoters that don't operate like that and are genuinely not pointing at anyone for that. It's just there are different ways, and so we'll always give the benefit of the doubt. We'll always try and do our best, and I'm just glad that this one got over the line. Basically, as a boxing fan, more than anything, it just keeps things moving, keeps the heavyweight division moving, and it's a very, very exciting fight.
Do you think we could see more of these sort of fights, cross-platform fights with fighters coming from different broadcasters? Because it's something that the fans have always wanted, but we don't see as much of it as we should, really.
I hope so, and we've always said, look, whatever you do, you're going to get criticised. They'll say, oh, why have you done that? Parker could have fought, why have you let him go? You've just signed him. No, he wants the best fights, and so it's a tricky one, and it takes everyone to cooperate, but the sport has to come, and I've said it before, sport has to sometimes come before business, and it makes a lot more sense business-wise for us to keep him on Sky, and we will hereafter. But this is such a big fight for Joseph, and this is a fight in the end that everyone wanted, and we got there in the end. So I do think, definitely between ourselves and Queensberry, there's now that working relationship, there's now that open line of communication, and they're sensible, and we'll make fights where we can, 100%.
With this relationship that you say is just sort of starting with Queensberry, we're just on the way with that. What does that mean for working with other broadcasters? We'll
work with everyone. We work with Top Rank. We've done big fights with Top Rank this year, and probably more to come. For Shields Marshall, we've got a Matchroom fighter, a Top Rank fighter, a Hennessy fighter as well. And look, I think it doesn't mean anything for other promoters. If the fights make sense and it makes sense for the fans and things like that, and we have to sometimes convince broadcasters that to see a bigger picture, then we will do it. We do not want the sport to go backwards. We're in here to try and make the sport better. We've said that from the start. We want to be progressive. We want to show a different way of doing things, and hopefully this shows a lot of intent. But it's not just us. The Warrens have come together on this as well.
Let's move on to the other shows, and Huey Fury. Daniel Dubois has been a name that's been mentioned for that. Is that a fight you can see another possible cross-platform fight?
Yeah, we've been given assurance. It's Hunter Fury is a final eliminator, so whoever wins that, we expect within 120 days will fight Daniel Dubois for the interim title, as long as no one vacates and things like that. So it will be an interesting one. It'll be another fighter from ourselves and another fighter from Queensberry. So we'll see, but we want to make the fights happen, and as long as other promoters will work with us, and we have to have, sometimes, not saying for this one, you have to have eyes wide open, because I think with boxing, you're never going to, promoters need to get out of the mindset of we're going to own the sport and we're going to run the sport, because it's never going to happen. There's too many promoters and there's too many networks. It's never going to happen. And so once people accept that and aren't trying to put other people out of business the whole time and accept that the networks aren't going away, then you can start to think about what's sensible for the sport. And I'm hoping that we can either go one way or another. As I say, the competition's high. We can either go in a direction where no fights are made at all, or we can be sensible and find ways where one time we'll take the hit and another time someone else will take the hit, and we'll make fights happen.
Getting closer to AJ Fight Week, so I want to finish off by asking you a couple of questions about that. Obviously, the price point has been set now. What would you do to persuade people to buy that?
Look, it's the biggest fight in boxing, 100%, without a doubt. I'd say it's the biggest fight in world boxing. Anthony Joshua's a huge star, and he's been beat by an unbelievable performance from Alexander Usyk, considered one of the pound-for-pound greats. And he's going out there to win his belts back. It doesn't need selling from me. I just think it's the biggest fight in boxing, and there's a lot of boxing on at the moment. There's a lot of good fights happening, and that's the biggest.
Just finally, what does winning and what does losing this fight mean for Anthony Joshua going forwards?
Well, everything. He becomes three-time world champion, and there's huge fights to come after that, and we don't need to go into them. They're obvious, but it is everything. Everything's on the line for both of them, for Alexander as well, and I expect it to be a fascinating fight, and it all depends how Anthony Joshua prepares and how he comes in. And I think people are, maybe after the fight, thought no way should Anthony take a rematch and this and that, and it was a foregone conclusion. But I think the setup he's got now with his new trainers, his mindset right, it's fast becoming a 50-50 fight.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, Ben.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.